So Jeff Segal is the recipient of the 2007 National Strength and Conditioning Association Personal Trainer of the Year Award. Jeffrey has written articles for numerous MS publications, in addition to others such as Shape Magazine. He's the owner of Balanced Personal Training since 2004. He's also a national motivational and educational speaker. He's a graduate of Florida State University and a person living with MS since 1998. Now, before Jeff starts to speak, I just want to let you all know that at the very end of this program, I need 3 volunteers. Okay, I need 3 people who want to answer one question about their MS, and I need a couple of caregivers too. So I forgot to say this at the beginning, and I just want to let you know that now. You don't have to raise your hands, just come see me at the end of the program. But for now, let's welcome Jeff Segal.
How's everybody doing now? What a phenomenal talk that was. There's a few things I want to stress, and I did walk around the room and talk to a few people at some different tables, but I can tell you that the table in the back, they had all the right stuff, because everything that they asked me to talk about was, again, given to me by other people at other tables. So I just want to stress a few things. Consistency is very important when it comes to what you do in life. Whether it's exercise, whether it's eating, whether it's relationships and friendships and all the stuff, consistency is key. If you believe you can do something, you're about 100% more likely that you'll do it. How many people in here think about the things that they should have done that didn't, and they never amounted to anything? All those thoughts and all the chances that you don't take in life, you may or may not get a second shot at. But if you look back at all the things that you did, that you accomplished, and that you were able to succeed in, that's the kind of thing that I want you to remember when you look at your past. I don't want you to remember what you can do or what you couldn't do or what you can do right now or what you can't do right now versus what used to be. Because effort is the one thing that is missing when people miss out in life. Some people, you can look around and you can see, you guys are a phenomenal group because you guys made it here. Had you not come tonight, you might have missed that one little thing that was your spark to shoot you into whatever great place you have on your horizon. Does that make sense? Have you ever missed out on an opportunity and you've chosen not to go and you dwell on it forever and you wish you would have gone? Well, the good thing is there's a lot of people here that made that choice and they can watch this again, like Stuart was just saying, on YouTube and MS Views and News Learning Channel. For all the times in your life that you don't give 100%, you can think about it. I don't know why you wouldn't give 100%, but for me, this goes back to sports. Okay, I'm not just some jock that talks about sports and microphones. I'm not one that just likes to talk about those things, but there is a correlation between what I have achieved in the past and what I'm still achieving. One is your attention. The other one is I was fortunate enough to be diagnosed with something like MS and share my experience through research that I've done and read with all of you here. And you guys can go home and take home something valuable, more valuable than you would have got watching whatever your favorite show is, because you got a DVR, right? DVRs are incredible. Now, how many of you think about, well, I can do that, and don't? Because you're scared, and it might be a valid reason. But I want everybody in this room to replace I can, and I might, or I should, with these 2 powerful words. And I want you to repeat them after me. I will. And I want you to say that to yourself. Now say it out loud again. Oh, great. Because I'm going to ask for some volunteers, and the people who come up here are courageous. It's important because they're being participants. That's what life is all about. It's about participating. And if you don't participate because you're worried about someone else and what they're going to think of you, their opinions are only real if you let them be real. I can give a rat's behind of what someone else's opinion of me is if they have a negative view of what I'm doing. You know why? Because it means nothing. It's just words or thoughts, and they're not coming from me because I believe I can do anything I set myself out to do. And I'm going to prove to you guys that you guys can do it too. But it's about consistency, not just as being consistent in what you do, but how many people in here look across the table or across the room and you see somebody that doesn't look like you and you're wondering, why is that person here? They don't look like me, they might not feel like me, they don't portray themselves as a patient. This is MS. Okay, I want you to understand that. This is MS. Look around the room. That's MS. It comes in many shapes and sizes and colors and all sorts of different things. But one thing we have in common is those two letters. But they shouldn't hold us back. They should give us a reason to do a little bit more and a little bit more. And when I was talking about sports before and what I had achieved as an all-state defensive end, believe it or not, in this state, in Florida, I was an all-state defensive end. Many moons ago, many pounds ago too. But I remember going up against somebody when I was playing in high school and looking across the line, and there was this great player that we played against, and he was a senior, I was a sophomore, and all I could think of, I think back now, a lot of it was the age difference, but what's he doing that I'm not? And I watched him when I wasn't playing, and he was doing everything in every play. He was a part of it. He gave 100% from the start till the end. If you don't give 100%, you know what's missing? Whatever percent less than you've given 100% of effort. You've got the effort. You can give a little bit more. You can't give more than 100%. It's impossible. If you do the very best you can all the time, you're always giving 100%. It may not be 100% of what you did yesterday, and it may not be 100% of what you're able to do tomorrow. It may be more, it may be less. It doesn't matter. But as long as you continue to strive to do the best you can do, the people around you are going to get the best you there is. And that's important, because the way people see you and the way you return that look is profound. I'm stealing the word profound from somebody. If you're watching this video, you'll know who you are. You used it a lot when I was growing up, and you taught me a lot. And you also taught me one thing that I took home with. I was called an overachiever when I was young. And once I was called an overachiever a second time, I said, that's BS. You can't keep overachieving. It's giving 100%. It's trying. It's doing the best you can possibly do with the tools you have. And if you don't have the tools, you can learn more and create better tools. That's why I've got a bag of tricks over here. I got no idea which ones of these toys, I call them, I'm going to use. Whichever one is best for you. But if I call you up here and you decide to come up, one thing I want you to do is give 100%. Whether it's in thought, whether it's physically, but in some way, shape, or form, give 100%, because otherwise you're going to go to your grave with stuff that's missing. You want to go to your grave with a full life, and you don't want to be at the end of that time, whatever happens, and say, gosh, I only wish I could have done a little bit more. This is your chance. From here on out, forget about the past. From now forward, give 100%. So, who came here alone today? All right, you guys are warriors, because either you don't want to tell the people around you that you had MS and you're going to an MS thing, or you had the something to make it here alone. So I want somebody who came here by themselves today to come up here as a volunteer. So I'm going to pick the first person that raised their hand. You come because you're closest, but I know some other people that raised their hand, which means, well, this is what happened. This is what I want you to think about. When you're all alone and you come to these places, you always got Wilson. Wilson is, I carry this, you can palm that too. If you get me a rim, I could dunk that because I can palm it.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but okay.
Yeah, and actually, the first time I dunked a ball with two hands was about a year and 2 months after I was told I'd never walk again. And I was up looking down at the rim. That's what it's like when you're up there, and you don't expect to be that high up there. I've done it with one hand several times, but two hands, I threw it down, and I made all the noises and screamed and did all that fun stuff, and got a technical foul called on me. But so what I want you to do is just slowly put it around your body. It's not so easy because it's a little bit hard to grip, right?
No, I just worked out today. So.
That should make it even easier.
No, it's not.
See, exercise is something that should help you do a little bit more, and it should relate to something that you regularly do. Now go the other direction. What he's doing is a form of warm-up. It might be a form of warm-up for whatever type of exercise it is. Now do it around your head. Now when I walked around the room here earlier and I asked, I got 4 main things of what people wanted to hear. There was stuff about heat. There was stuff about fatigue. There was stuff about cognition. And I don't remember the 4th one. Okay, now throw that to me. What? I know, I was kidding. That was the 4th one. I'm going to tell you guys, if you guys, you see, you can tell he played basketball because you see how he rolls the ball off with his fingers?
I don't play no basketball.
Huh?
I'm not no basketball player.
Yeah, but you've played.
Yeah.
Someone taught you how to shoot, right?
I had to teach myself.
You had to, that's all right. But you've probably watched other people do it. So something as simple as a ball like this, if you have somebody else, now I'm the other person because he came by himself, but just like bouncing it to him, bounce it back. And you guys were talking about falling. I'm not going to fall right now, but if you look at a video that I did last month, or it might have been earlier this month. So right now I would say, you know what he's working right now? This is going to cover something that you guys forgot you asked about. Core. You guys mentioned core, didn't you, back there? I know, you're raising your hand because you haven't mentioned it. So what he's doing right now, do you have MS?
Yes.
Oh, do you mind being video recorded? Because I didn't ask before. You don't mind?
It's
It's too low and we could delete it. So when you have a weak core, you know what happens? You're not going to be standing like this. Do you work core?
Yes.
Do you do stuff with, do you do like traditional exercise or do you do
I'm doing everything.
new age? Okay, so you do like whatever they bring it on, right? That type of exercise? All right, I see, and you got the U up there.
Right.
All right, so you're a tough guy. You from Miami? Of course, right? I'm from Miami too. That's why we're friends. That's why you're the first one I called up. You had the U up. But I am a Seminole. I did graduate from Florida State. Don't hold it against me.
Can't help it.
All right, but thank you very much for coming up here. Good job. All right, the same things that I did with that. I got that type of exercise, putting stuff around your body, even down here. You can do it. You can do it up here. It's part of a warm-up. For some people, I do stuff like that, simple with a lighter ball like that. He could have done a heavier ball, but first thing I reached for was Wilson because he was alone. And he needed to have a companion, and Wilson was just there. It was the first thing I could grab. I need another volunteer to come up here, and it would be you because you asked before, and I picked him. So you ready to come up? So as she's coming up here, I want to talk about before when I was speaking about consistency. And if you look around the room, and I was talking before about everybody being a little bit different, how many people in here, I'm kicking back to the food part of things, how many people in here drink smoothies? Okay. Do you make different types of smoothies? Like each time there might be something a little bit different. You never have the same exact smoothie twice, right? I'm a smoothie drinker. I never have had the same exact smoothie 2 times in my life, I think. It's all about the consistency when you're making a smoothie. You ever make smoothies? The consistency changes. So when you open up the thing, I use a bullet. You know, the NutriBullet. So I open it up, and sometimes I open it up and it looks like a thing of ice cream, you know, and then I have to pour some more liquid in it. Well, think about this. If every smoothie is a little bit different in consistency, that's kind of like looking around the room. And every single one of you is just a teeny bit different. There's not the same 2 cases of MS. So think about it like that. Each case is different. Each case is handled different. If the person across from you says that their diet works for them, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. If it's a healthy diet, all the world to you. Healthy eating is important. If you don't know what's healthy and what's not, that's your only excuse not to have a healthy diet. But it's never too late to learn. Do you eat a healthy diet?
Paleo.
Paleo?
3 years now.
I don't like diets with names, personally, because there's no diet out there that's been published with my name on it, and I eat the foods that I want to eat, but they're healthy, so I make sure that I have the me diet. So, feel that? Can you grip it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your bad hand?
Yes.
Try it with your good hand. I won't let you fall. And if you fall, don't be on film.
Yeah, don't put that on.
You can drag her over there. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's, can you lift it up like this? Down here?
Yep.
Up here? How many reps you want to do?
Ready as you want.
Okay, at five, how many people are counting? When she gets to 500, let me know. Is there any other volunteers? I'm just kidding. No, if you could do it, then you would, right?
Right.
So you said I will already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. So that was pretty easy. Now, this one here, I'm going to let you hold this just here. I'll hold this hand. That's heavy. Oh, look at that. You're pretty, and you know what you're working right now?
Core.
Of course. You know why? Because by holding this on this side, what's happening is this side is holding me up. This is my core. So if you carry a handbag, do you carry a purse, handbags? Do you carry it in the same side all the time?
Right side.
That means that you're developing an imbalance throughout your life. Because if you carry something on this side your whole life, the other side's working, this side's not. So you're going to have strength on this side and weakness on this side. Eventually, it might become back problems, hip problems, that type of stuff. Switch it up or use the cross, the one that goes across your shoulder. Less wear and tear in the body. But you see how that ball's heavy? You want to throw this at me? You're the first person that's ever actually thrown it at me. Most people say, no, why would I want to throw it at you? But you're ready. You want to throw something easier to hit me with? No, I'm just kidding. Something without bullets. Have you ever used unstable surface as an exercise modality?
Yes.
How many people in here have used an unstable surface? Okay, unstable surfaces are good if you're going to live in an unstable environment. Until you can live in a stable environment and stabilize yourself standing on a flat surface, I wouldn't put you on an unstable surface unless it's something that we're trying to work with, like proprioception on an unstable surface. You know how many people here don't know what proprioception is? Okay, that means that everybody who didn't raise your hand can tell you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Proprioception is your body's ability to know where you are in space. So if you're walking, like, it's basically to understand your surroundings, to adapt to movements and different things like shifts in level changes, stepping onto something, stepping on a rock, stabilizing yourself. With MS, unfortunately, you might not have the ability to stabilize yourself and you might twist your ankle and fall. As for you guys in the back, we're not going to teach them how to fall incorrectly. I fell in a video purposely that you can see on from, I think it was December in LA. If you look it up, you can see pretty close into the beginning I'm telling a story, and I showed what it was like when I fell, the incorrect way. If you want to know the right way to fall, it's prevention. Prevent the fall from happening. But if you do fall, the worst thing that you can do, and this is what we all have you fallen? Have you ever been that tree that fell that just was like the ooh, boom?
You feel like you're being pushed down.
Exactly. But if you can, stop the world for a moment and you start to feel like you're going to fall, what's the most logical thing to do? I want you guys to solve this problem. If I'm coming forward, what are you going to do? I just did it. Yeah. So instead of just being frozen and thinking, oh my gosh, here comes the ground, it's coming closer, and then you hit it and then you don't remember what happened because you hit the ground. Try to take a step. The worst case scenario is you're going to take a step and you're not going to land on your face and you might roll a little bit. But I'm a professional faller. I mastered it a long time ago. And after that, I didn't fall anymore. But I learned how to fall correctly. So I can show you how to fall correctly is fall with a roll. And I'm going to get on the floor and get on all fours. Thank you for coming up here because I don't want you to fall. No, I'm not going to, but I appreciate that. So thanks for coming on. One way that you can practice falling would preferably be on your bed. But if you got onto all fours and you were to fall, you'd practice something like what's called like a shoulder tuck. If you were to fall, tucking your shoulder and rolling. Does that make sense? It's something that you should practice while on a bed rather than standing and practice, oh, this is how it's going to be when I'm going to fall, because if you prepare your fall, then it's not a real fall. But the two things, make sure you try to step into something if you're going to fall. Don't be the tree. And if you land and you fall, you know what you should do? Nothing at first unless you fell on the road. Relax. Regroup. Don't stress. Think about how you would normally get up. If you fall on the ground, it's not pleasant. How many people have gotten hurt falling? When you hit the ground, the first thing is, I got to get up, and you try. And you just had some trauma. You just hit, bam, you hit the ground. You try to get up, what's going to happen is you're going to start struggling, you're not going to do it the right way, and you're going to fall again, you're going to fall again, and then we're going to start talking about fatigue. And what can we do about fatigue? Prevention, just like the falling part, and I'm going to get into that. But if you regroup and you visualize how you normally get up, and then you take it step by step and get back up, chances are you'll get back up. Unless you never could get up off the floor. Then it's not the time to try. That's what my doctor told me, at least. How many people in here have used cones? The funny thing about cones are, well, what I do with cones, when people are exercising and learning new movements, I'm going to show you some cool stuff. You're going to love this, okay? You're really going to love this. So even if you don't love it, I want you to turn to the person next to you right now and say, I can't wait to see this. Oh God, now you put the pressure on me. Okay, so these cones, they're soft, they're collapsible, they can fold, they can, they're okay if you step on them. They fold, they pop right back up, or they fall over. The real reason that I use them is because when I have somebody do something like a reach, basically what I just did, and they do this, I know that they're looking to get the cone's help pushing them back up. And it tells me that. But if they're able to just tap it, that can be done in a seated position as well. Is anybody using that chair? If you can control your body and do this, you're working your core, working glutes, working the back of your legs, working your lower back. Everything that I've showed you guys so far can be done seated. So if you don't have the ability to get up, you can do it in your chair. Excuse number 87, taken off the list. What were some of the other things you guys, your professionals in the back left, were telling me about before that you're looking to hear? Stretching. Okay, I'll get into stretching. One important thing about stretching is, anybody can blurt it out, what's the most important thing about stretching? There you go, you want to be warm. Your muscles should be warm before you stretch them. If you stretch a cold muscle, you know what happens? It becomes a torn muscle if you do it enough. When you hear getting warmed up, does it scare you? Raise your hand if it worries you about warming up. Okay, so you guys aren't worried about getting too warm? Okay, someone turn the heat on. No, it is important because local areas that you warm up, if you put something warm around, say your leg, like a warm towel, or you took a shower, it's not going to heat your core up centrally. It's just that area. And if that's where you want to stretch, a warm muscle is like a warm rubber band, and when you stretch it, it's a difference between snapping it or just stretching it for relaxation. Although stretching today will not help you in 3 days from now, but it's good for the morning when you get up. If you take a shower and it's warm, or you do some movements that'll warm an area up, it's good to stretch while you're warm. Any areas in particular that you guys would like me to show you stretches on? Hamstrings. The hamstrings, this is the hamstring in case you don't know what a hamstring is. Anywhere else? Because I can combine that with a couple other muscles. Shoulders. Okay. Hamstring. First I'm going to do some standing ones, and with the help of a chair. So the back of your leg here is your hamstring. If you have the balance to do this and just put it on a chair, you can stretch. You notice how my knee's a little bit bent? That's so I don't feel it behind my knee. If I feel it behind my knee, that's my tendon. It's not my muscle. I don't want to stretch my tendon because they don't stretch. They snap. It connects the bone to the muscle. So if you start feeling it here, either don't reach as far, and this is the same thing as if you were laying on the ground. So imagine me laying on the ground right now with this leg in like this rather than back. When you were kids, you remember when you used to stretch like that? How many of you remember that stretch? Well, that's been eliminated. Now it's modified to go like this so you don't hurt your knee. So you do that and you stretch. You don't want to do this. Bouncing is a reason for, or a cause of tearing muscles. So the hamstring, that's a general hamstring stretch. If you're laying on the ground, I'm going to get on the ground. So I have this with me. It's a big rubber band. You can use a towel, you can use a rope, you can use a friend, but don't use the rope and towel on your friend. No, I'm just kidding. This is the modified hurdler stretch. So if you were to get something and you can't reach your foot, you see that? That's stretching the hamstring. If I stretch, this is an interesting one. If I'm pulling with my foot, with my hand, who said how do you stretch a shoulder? I'm stretching my shoulder right now, but that's not the ideal way to stretch a shoulder. This would be an ideal way to stretch a shoulder. I'll stand up and do that. But this is a hamstring stretch. What other muscles I can show you on the legs so you guys have issues with? Spasticity, one of the forms of spasticity is cramping. So the best way to stop a cramp is not to flex the muscles. The opposite would be to elongate the muscle. So if your hamstring starts to stretch, starts to cramp, the worst thing you can do is bend it. Bend your knee. It'll tighten up and you'll start screaming sooner or later. So the best thing to do is straighten your leg out and reach for it. How many people in here have cramping in their calves? Okay. How come you guys didn't want to know about the calves then? A calf stretch is the same thing as the hamstring stretch, what I was just doing. That's a way to stretch it, to do that. But the back foot here, if you put your leg flat on the ground, can you see that? If you can't, now can you see it? This leg here, my calf is stretching. That's one part of the calf that stretches past the knee joint. It's the gastrocnemius. And then the soleus, which is lower in the foot, the stretch is just it doesn't cross the knee joint, so you can stretch it just by doing that. But those are things that you want to do right away once you start feeling the cramping stretch. And if you don't know why you're having cramps in an area, talk to your physician about it. It could be an imbalance. Don't just say, oh, I heard potassium helps, so I'm going to start taking potassium. Don't do that because then you may have too much potassium, if that's not the problem. It could just be a neurological thing and it might not be an element. So it's important to talk to your physicians about any issues that you're having, especially when you're going to self-medicate. And that's what that is. I mean, personally, I don't take any vitamins or minerals unless it shows up that I need those vitamins and minerals in my blood work. Doesn't that make sense? Otherwise, I'm going to have either a liver that's filled with fat-soluble vitamins or really expensive urine. So those are some of the things. A shoulder stretch, you can do all kinds of different stretches with your shoulder. The important thing is if you have an injury to your shoulder, you don't want to stretch through the pain. So this is a great shoulder stretch for the delts. The shoulder joint has a lot of muscles in it. The lats are part of the shoulder joint. You can do a stretch like this. Even the chest muscles are part of the shoulder joint. Bringing your arm back and holding it on something. Part of your shoulder girdle are the muscles up here that attach into the back of your head. How many people get pain up in here from tightness? It's usually caused from a stress. But your sternocleidomastoid muscles are the muscles in front of your neck. It's a long muscle, but there's a reason for the name, because it attaches into your sternum and then it attaches into your mastoid process back here. So if you turn your head to the side, you can see this muscle starting here, it attaches here, and it comes all the way up into this area here where you feel all that tightness. So there's some good neck stretches that I like doing, but remember, stretching is not something you should go through pain. It's something that should help alleviate pain or reduce the pain. Here's a good stretch for your neck. It's kind of a hit or miss with people if you can find it in the right area, but it's simple. Hold your knee here and don't do anything with your neck, but relax it. And let your knee come forward and pull your arms. Can you see my neck stretching, the muscles? All up here and here. But it's about finding the right spot. And if you push down, hold it for at least 15 seconds, 30 seconds is a good number to stick with, and stop. If you catch the right area, you'll like it and you'll do it again. If you do it often enough, you may prevent some future problems that you had in that area. But stress does cause people to keep their shoulders like this. You ever see people sitting like this and they look like all tight, and it's horrible, and their muscles are tense. And if you ask them, is your tongue pressing up against the top of your mouth? It probably is, because they're all tensed up, and just relax. Relaxing is the best way to have loose muscles. Now fatigue, that's something that we talked about. How many people in here experience fatigue? How many people in here have issues with the heat? How many people in here get fatigue from the heat? Okay, so let's all take this outside, because it's nice out right now. If the heat is something that causes you to be tired, avoid it. This is Florida. It's cool outside right now. This is colder than it's been where I live all year, all 15 days. But last year too. And to avoid the heat, you have to plan. And planning is important. No matter what you do, if you develop a plan, the outcome is going to be better than if you didn't have a plan whatsoever. So I can't stress how important it is to plan. What Megan was talking about with diets, the best way to have a good diet is to plan what you're going to eat well before you're hungry. If you were to actually plan what you're going to eat on Sunday for the entire week in 1 hour, it wouldn't take more than an hour. You can plan out a diet in an hour, the food you like. You can look at that diet, you can pick it apart, and you can find out what's good, what's bad, and you can eliminate the bad stuff and replace it with something good that's similar that you would eat. That's not like pulling teeth to have, because some people just don't want to eat certain foods because, ooh, they're so healthy and they just taste horrible. To me, I like to taste all the different vitamins and everything I eat, usually with a straw, but it's important to have a plan. Plan your exercise, plan your week. If you don't, what happens? You get really, really, really hungry. And what do you crave when you're really, really hungry? The tastiest thing that's the closest to you, which is usually what? Did you say McDonald's? Because they're everywhere, and they got a lot of flavor. And they've got something for everyone, right? $1 hamburger, $8 salads. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But the better your plan, the less likely you're going to find yourself in a drive-thru, eating something full of salt, sugar, and fat. Is there anything worse than those three things to put in your body? Yeah, sprinkle some cocaine on that, right? I'm just kidding. They don't have that at McDonald's. All right, how many of you guys, I'm serious, they don't, want to see what it's like to do a core exercise with a band? How many of you would like to? I want one person to come up here and prove that you want to know what it's like. So raise your hand. Okay, you right there. Do you have MS? Yes. Okay. Now everybody knows. I was just making sure I was in the right room. And are you okay being video recorded?
Yes.
Don't tell me, tell him.
Yes, I am okay.
Okay. So what kind of exercise do you do for your core right now?
I exercise with a stationary bike and
Upright or recumbent?
upright.
Okay.
And I volunteer at a wildlife sanctuary and clean enclosures. So.
Is that what you do for your core? Mm-hmm. Volunteer? I volunteer for doing core work too. Yeah. It's fun to volunteer. Okay, so what I want you to do is, first off, just take this with both hands. This is a pretty light band. What I want you to get into a ready position. How many people in here like sports? How many people in here know a sport that doesn't require the ready position? Besides race cars? Okay, do you feel your lower back a little bit? That's what's keeping you from falling forward, right? So just holding on to something like this in a stationary position is statically working her lower back, which is very important for your core. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this way just a little bit. So now what's happening is whatever's facing this way on her back is working right now. Do you feel that side of your lower back? So if I came this way, you can do this by yourself by holding something in a doorway, but now you feel that side of your lower back? Now what I want you to do is turn around, take this in each hand. Now stay upright, don't lean forward. Do you have any issues, shoulder problems, knee, hips, legs, anything?
Not down there.
Okay, everything else we won't worry about. So right now, what muscles, I want you guys to answer this. What muscles are working right now? I'm talking core. Abs. Cheater. Okay, can you feel your abs? Okay, now when I let go a little bit, I'm gonna do it slowly. Now you can feel your abs kind of relaxing, right? Okay, now I want you to turn and face the crowd and hold your arms straight in front of you. Keep your, no, we're still holding on to that. Now just stay there. Can you feel your core? Tell me which side do you feel more?
My left side.
Okay, so her left side. Now if I were to come over to the other side. You feel it on the right side? Any pain in your back?
No.
Good. Okay, so, and what's unique is she's got her feet close together. You can let go of these. So by keeping your feet close together like this, it means that there's less surface area being covered. And by me holding this to the side, it's much more difficult to maintain balance. So that was another thing that you guys in the back asked about, was balance. And what I'm going to do is talk about balance backwards from balance, starting with balance and then getting to what's important. So stand like that. Do you feel how you're a little bit less balanced than if you had your feet apart? Now put your feet apart like this. Okay, now bend your knees a little bit. So now, okay, catch that. There you go. So with your feet apart like that, that's stability. If somebody has a problem with balance and they don't work on stability, you're missing out. Because if you can't do this, why would you try to do this? You're not going to hop to work tomorrow, are you? Now put your hand out like this, one hand. High five. No, that's not what I was going to do. No, keep your hands up. Now press. You feel your core a lot now? Mm-hmm. Let me do the other side so you don't walk in circles back to your chair.
That's my weaker.
I can see that. I could tell that with your leg too, right?
Yeah.
Your left leg.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We all have a weak side, right?
Yep.
If not, we wouldn't have a strong side.
Yeah. That's true.
All right, you can go. Thank you so much. How many people in here have seen me do the stuff with the furniture sliders? Raise your hand. Raise your furniture slider. Okay, furniture sliders are good because they glide. No friction on the ground. You can slide them and you can help me move my furniture. But if you're on the ground, I'm going to get on the ground and I'm going to work my way back up. And you have problems with your hip flexors. Sometimes you can use other muscles. That's somewhat using neuroplasticity as neuroplasticity is something you can achieve through exercise and through some other things. And just throughout your lifespan, your brain adapts to whatever's in front of you. It grows. It grows in its memory and what it can do, and sometimes it goes around things. Just like if you were going to the park, if it was across on the other side of a lake, would you swim there? No, you go around the lake. It'd take you one shot at trying to get in the water and getting there and realizing that, oh, this is the stupid way to go, and you go the other way. Second time, if you do it, just don't tell anybody. So, first off, if you can't walk, but you can crawl and you don't, you're missing out. Then you're just stabilized somewhere that you don't want to be, right? So you got to find that 100% no matter what it's in. If you're giving 50% and it's not enough, step it up a bit. You got more in you. Remember, you said you will, right? It's important to do and to be able to do more and more and more and progressively. Fatigue was a problem you guys said you had, right? How many of you have done anything about it? Besides think. Thinking will make you tired, especially when you think about fatigue over and over and over again. And think about, I'm going to start something, because the amount of energy that you put into the thought is probably a lot more than what the energy into the activity would have been had you done it. So if you can crawl and one leg isn't doing so well, you can use a furniture slider to put under your knee. That might be able to get you to come forward. And if not, you can always do this. If it's one leg, and then you go and you pull the leg forward. Using these, you can do stuff. You can do adduction exercises and abduction. Who in here does not know the difference between adduction and abduction? Adduction and abduction. There's adduction and abduction. Abduction. You guys know what the differences are? Me neither. I was hoping to get an explanation. That confused me in school. But I learned the hard way. The easy way would be adduction is adding something together. I learned it as abduction, ABD, a bad date, go away. Not a good way to learn it, but I remember that. Just like how many people in here remember things from when they were growing up, certain ways to remember. How many people in here are in the field of science? Science, was that your background? So if you studied science, you had studied the animal kingdom and zoology, and how many of you remember an acronym? I don't know how I remember this, but kings play chess on fat guy's stomach. Do you guys know that? That's K, kings, kingdom, play, phylum, chess, class, order, on, F, phylum, F is family, genus, species.
Ours was King Philip came from Germany on Saturday.
Yeah, mine was politically incorrect, so I gave the fat part to the guy. Growing up, it was kings play chess on fat girl's stomach, but I turned it to fat girl's stomach, fat guy's stomach. Because now we're really getting into politically incorrect stuff. I want one more volunteer. I want somebody up here who doesn't have MS. You don't have MS? You want it? Come on, it's really cool. Look around the room, these are good people. Would you mind coming up? Do you have any other neuromuscular issues? If you do, I'm going to tell you which one you have when you get up here. No, I'm just kidding. In 110 years, you're going to have, no, I don't know. How do you know? Okay, so you want to know what it's like to have MS? I'm not going to give it to you, I promise. Okay. Face all of them. Come a little bit this way, a little bit more. Okay. Well, first off, go like this. Now, or actually go like this. Can you do that? Yes. Okay. Tell me which finger I'm touching and which hand it's on.
Is that my middle finger on my right hand, left hand?
On your left hand?
I'm dyslexic, this is awful.
Here, give me this finger. Take this out. Right hand. But that's what it's like, right? You guys ever gone to feel something or try to move something and the other thing moved, or it just didn't move on itself whatsoever? How's your balance? You don't have MS, right?
Right.
Decent balance?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
All right. If you practiced it all the time, you'd be perfect at it. That's one thing. Practice makes perfect, right? You've heard it since you were little, haven't you? Why don't you do it? Wanting is not enough, I'm telling you. If you want better balance, you got to practice it. So what I want you to do is just relax your arms, put your feet together, completely together, stand looking forward. You feel a little bit off? Look up. Tilt your head back. Can you guys see her wobbling? MS faker. Okay, now what I want you to do is do that and close your eyes. You feel very wobbly?
Feels like a DUI checkpoint.
Oh yeah? Wait, hold on a second. That's only supposed to be if you're drunk the way you feel. We have an excuse, you don't. Okay, so now can you stand on one foot and make sure it's not mine? All right. Now close your eyes. Now lift, see, now put your head up and do it. Pretty tough, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look around the room. Everybody in here who has MS, I can probably, for the most part, has experienced what you just felt standing on one leg with your head back by just standing there with a wide base of support. Can you guys agree? Yeah. That's what life is like. So now you know you're with somebody who has MS, or you found this somehow? Okay. Okay. So you know what your mother's experienced probably at some point, if not a lot of points. So when that happens, what you want to do is widen your base of support. Now, one thing I did not ask you is, do you mind being video recorded?
I don't mind.
You don't mind? Tell them? You don't mind? Okay. All right. She gets to live 110 more years. Thank you very much. I want one other person coming up here who doesn't have MS. Come on up. But you have something else neurological. I want someone that thinks they're neurologically impaired free. You have MS? You do? You don't have MS? Oh, but you know what if someone said, but you look like you have MS? We hear that all the time. But you don't look like you have MS. You've been around it too long. You look like us. No, I'm just kidding. Do you mind being video recorded?
I don't mind.
Okay. How's your balance?
Decent.
Okay. You ever fall down just because?
Just for fun of it.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
So you're part of the crowd. I want you to stand on that. Do you feel a little bit less stable on there?
It's a little bouncy.
Okay, now what I want you to do is stand on one leg on that. If you need to grab something, grab.
Let me get it centered.
See, it's a lot less stable. Now, if you were to just stand on the grass with bare feet, you'd get that same thing going. Yeah, but that's what like an unstable surface is, bringing in more receptors, and your body has to channel things. And what happens with MS, you can go sit down. I just wanted to show someone one quick thing. What happens with MS, whether it's because of heat or whether it's because of stress, having MS is like having an electrical cord going through your body, which is like your nervous system. When it gets overheated, what happens when there's a wire that gets overheated? If there's a little bit of a cut in a wire, it either burns or the signal doesn't get all the way to where you want it to go. When you overheat and you have MS, that's what happens. It can cause fatigue, it can cause conduction failure, it can cause all kinds of stuff. And definitely can cause frustration, which in turn causes more stress, which in turn causes more frustration and more fatigue. So if you don't stay active as much as you possibly can, within reason, there's eating and sleeping and the rest of the stuff, but there's enough time in the day to do it. If there's not, come talk to me afterwards. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, and I can break it down to you really easy, and you can be left over with hours that you'd say, my gosh, I don't have enough television shows to watch. And you'd have to move a little bit more. And if you do these things in small increments and do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, what ends up happening is you become able to do a lot more and not have that fatigue. So MS might not be the thing behind it. MS might be the thing that scares you into not doing the things that you should be doing, but don't let it stop you from going after your dreams, because your dreams can only become real if you live them. You can't sleep and have your dreams come true. You got to wake up and do. So thank you guys very much. I have time for some questions and answers. So I want the man in the microphone to run around the room while you guys ask me questions.
Getting spasticity, standing all night. So, who has a question for Jeff? Anybody? Anybody about anything? Thank you. I'll be back there in a moment. By the way, before you leave today, please remember we need those seminar evaluation forms completed. Okay? And I also need those 5 people in the front of the room when we end this program. I have to hold this. One germ microphone.
When you were talking about stretching, I forgot to ask about lower back.
Lower back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a bunch of different types of lower back stretches depending on what's going on with your lower back, if you have stenosis versus something with your disc, or if you just want to stretch. One of the best ways is to hug your knees when you're laying on your back on a flat surface, because your back will round out and it'll get a stretch without having a curve if you're pulling your knees. I'm going to get on the ground and show you. If you want to stand up, you can see. You can do this stretch. If you do it with one leg forward, now you're also stretching this hip flexor, and pull this towards you. So that's stretching your lower back, or both of them together like I showed you. There's some other ways that you can do it. I don't like to hyperextend, but some people have a better feeling when they hyperextend because there might be something going on. I would talk to a physician before doing something like that. But leaning back, that's also stretching your core and your hip flexors, which your abs and hip flexors go hand in hand because they work together. But those are some back stretches. There's a lot of back stretches, but keeping your limbs loose also helps your back stay strong and loose. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Question right here. Again, that side of the room, see?
Next one come from back there.
Jeff, I'm strictly one side affected, and my right side is always weaker than my left side. So what's the best way to do a workout? I know sometimes if I'm using small dumbbells, I'll make one lighter than the other one.
Okay, I have a few answers for that, because there's a few things that cause one side to be stronger than the other, or if it's an effect of a result of MS.
Yes, it's an MS effect.
Okay,
so you can just draw a line down me.
So for people who have MS and you have unilateral issues, if you can do this and this, and then one just doesn't work as well and then it stops, I'm a firm believer in doing what you can with what you have. So which side is your weak side? Left side? Same thing. Right side? So same thing with your arms. If you're doing a shoulder press and you can only do it, say, 5 or 6 times before it starts looking like this, load it up. Get a weight that's safe but heavier. Because if you can do something 6 really good times, like this, with 20 pounds, and on the 7th one it gets like this, and you do 10 pounds, and on the 7th one it gets like this, what are you achieving more from? The 20-pound weight, as long as it's in a safe motion. But focus on the good side too. Because if you don't focus on the good side and take care of the good side, and you constantly are putting all your attention to what's not working, what was working might not be working soon too. So don't neglect the good side.
Okay.
Right. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did for the most part.
But keep, and another thing is, if your right side can only do 7, at that point where it can no longer work, I say no longer work is when the form changes, put the weight down, count to 30, and try again. If it doesn't work, count to 120. But you will regain that ability to get the signal there, and that's what's missing is the signal, and the signal gets burnt out, and then you don't have anything, you're telling it to do it, and it's saying, do what? I don't remember, that's kind of what happens on number 8.
Yeah, and what I was doing when I'm using like dumbbells is just use a lighter weight in my right hand and then heavier in my left, and it kind of
It's
worked
good,
out.
but you're also creating an imbalance with your core, so you want to be a little bit careful with that. But don't neglect that good side, whatever you do, because that good side is going to be carrying the bad side.
As you well know.
Okay, so another question?
Anybody?
There.
Nobody?
Come on.
Well, let's
Oh,
thank...
wait, we got a question.
In your opinion, do you think you can overdo it? Work out or
I know what you're saying.
Nah, not really.
I almost want to say I dare you to, but I'm not daring you to overdo it, because people with MS are very hesitant to overdo things because they don't want to cross the line and experience what's going to happen when they cross that line. However, that line, when you cross it, you kind of get back there within 24 hours and remember where that spot was so you don't cross it again, if that does happen. Do you get what I'm saying? A pseudo-exacerbation is overdoing it to where you start to feel symptoms. The first symptom you feel is the reason to slow down or stop. And you've realized, and that'll also give you a point to go back to and realize that's my point. If I can get it a little bit more, I'm achieving a little bit more and I'm progressing in a positive way. But if I can just keep getting to that point, I'm not regressing. And that's what's important, is to find the edge, get as close to it without falling off. Just like anybody else who doesn't have MS, if they overdo it, they're going to have a heat stroke or something along those lines. But know your limits, and you can find them. You just have to get there to do it. You can't think about it and make it work. You got to do it.
I'm a habitual line stepper. Crossing the line.
Yeah, don't cross it too much or else you may not get back. But be smart. That's one of the most important things that you can do in life, is don't be stupid. Because if you know you're being stupid, then you're doing it on purpose. So be smart.
Great. Thank you. Let's all thank Jeff for coming here today. Please remember that you were at today an MS Views and News program. We sponsored this event for you. We did not want to wait to get a grant. We knew it was January. We do events like every year. We do it somewhere in Jacksonville. So we wanted to make sure that we got this for you. And so I just want to thank you all for being here today.